Okay, good morning and good Chodesh. Today is the 30th day of Chodesh Tishrei, which makes it as Chodesh Cheshvan. It is Wednesday, and we continue the chapter 25 in the Igeret Hakodesh. And again, this is a long chapter where the Alter Rebbe talks about explaining something that was said in the name of the Baal Shem Tov. It's quoted in the book called Tzavas Revash that caused some controversy when people misunderstood what the Baal Shem Tov said. And that is that even when a Jew is in the middle of davening and some guy comes and interferes and disturbs him, Hashem is there dwelling in him in these words of the guy as well. And that caused some people who were opposing the Baal Shem Tov to take these words and say this is something shouldn't be said. The Alter Rebbe comes and explains, and he gives us a long chapter, not talking directly about the question, but explaining it, the whole idea, what it means Hashem's dwelling in here. So he began this chapter by explaining how everything in this world is from Hashem. And therefore, we should not get angry at all about whatever happens to us. Even if someone comes and punches you in the face, don't get angry at the person. Because if you do, it's like saying that it's the person who made it, where the truth is that it's from Hashem. Yes, that person had free choice, and that person has to pay for his bad choice, but at the end of the day, whatever happens is from Hashem. Meaning, if that person wouldn't have done it, something else would have happened. Hashem has many ways to carry out His will. So, the Alter Rebbe went on to explain how the words of Hashem come down to this world, and it goes through different levels. We explained yesterday about the four spiritual worlds, the Atzilus, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. In each world, how the godliness is more concealed. In the highest world, it's revealed. And as it goes down, it is more concealed. In today's lesson, which is actually quite a short lesson, but an important one, the Alter Rebbe talks about the idea of the speech. Talking about the words of Hashem coming down. What is the words of Hashem? And how it is important when we speak, the power of the speech, when we speak, we really accomplish great things. More than we know. What is it that we accomplish when we speak? When we speak, we actually say the words of Torah. We actually trigger that Hashem's speech also should be enacted. Should we make it that the Hashem's speech comes down when the corresponding speech to our speech, just like our intellect corresponds to God's intellect. Our emotions correspond to God's emotions. So when we say the words, when we utter the words of Torah, utter the words of prayer, we actually cause a similar thing that Hashem should do the same thing. So let's look inside the way the Alter Rebbe explains today's shir. Says the Alter Rebbe, "Vehine, it is known, nefesh ha'adam yadua lakoil, Sheiklula miyud Sfiros Chochma Bina Das v'chulu. It is known to all that the soul of man, when we're saying the soul of man, is the soul of the Jew. It's talking about the spiritual, the more godly soul, is compounded by the 10 sephiros, the 10 attributes. There's the Chochma, Bina, Dat, and so on. This we explained at length in the Tanya, in the earlier part, that we have the intellectual part of the soul. There is the emotional part of the soul. Now, though these corresponding faculties of the soul, they all derive from the breath of Hashem's mouth, as it is written, and he blew in his nostrils the soul of life. When we're saying Hashem blew in his nostrils, it's what does this suggest? We say there's a difference between speaking and blowing, because when you speak from a more external part of you, but when you blow, when you inhale, you blow. When you blow out, and when you exhale, but you blow something deep, it comes from the deeper part of the person. So when Hashem created Adam, it says Vayipach be'apav, he blew into his nostrils. This suggests that this is a deeper, comes from a deeper place from Hashem, from God, that the spirit of man that came into Adam, which we explained in length in other occasions, that this refers to the godly soul that later on was given to Abraham, the first Jew, and ultimately to every single Jew. So this is something that comes from very, very deep. Mikol Makom, nevertheless, each of these 10 faculties of the soul is particularly connected with one of the 10 supernal spheres. So when we're talking about the intellectual part of the soul, that is specifically more connected with the intellectual part of the godly attributes. So that's what it says, Bekomokim derech prat, Chochma bina das shebenafshe, and dugma lechochma bina das shebiyutzfiris. It says more specifically, the Chabad, Chochma bina das, which is wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, the intellectual part of the soul. So this, the Chabad in one's soul, one's intellectual faculties of Chochma, Bin, and Das, are analogous to the divine intellective emanations of Chabad in the 10 Sephiros. They're analogous to these spiritual intellectual attributes. Amechunois b'shem Abba ve'ima. Now these are referred to as Abba and Ima, which means father and mother, because these intellectual attributes, they are the father and the mother of the emotions. Emotions are created from the intellect. I'm not going now into explaining in details. This we explained in many classes before in the Tanya, how the intellectual attributes represents the wisdom and understanding. The wisdom is more like the father, the understanding is more like the mother. Just like the wisdom is the spark of understanding represents the dat that comes from the father. It represents the tiny drop that includes everything. The understanding is more of developing the idea, which is like the child is being developed in the mother's womb. and then when that gives birth to emotions, because when you understand something, you start feeling what you understand. If you understand that some poor child is in need of help, you develop a feeling and you want to help the person. Midas aver ve'ira shebenafshay em dugmas led midas shebeyud sfiras and ikrois b'shem ze'er anpin. Now the emotive attributes in one's soul of love and fear of God and so on are analogous to the first 6 midas or divine emotive attributes in the 10 spheres, which are collectively known as Ze'er Anpin, which means the minor visage. What is he talking about? He says the emotion, everything what makes a person work, what makes a person do anything, is these 2 attributes, which is love and fear. You do something either you love or you fear. You want to do something because you love the thing, or you love the person, or you love what to do, what this is represents, or because you fear. And this is also the love and the fear have also the subcategories, so to speak, that the other emotions that come also from the love and the fear, and they are called this is in general they are those are 6 emotive attributes, which is chesed, gvura, tiferes, netzach, hod, and yesod. Those are 6 kabbalistic emotive attributes. And again, each one of these emotive attributes has a different function in the person, which we're not going into now. But these are called the minor visages. And those are attributes that are connected with the person himself. You love, you fear, it's something which has to do with you. But then there is the 7th attribute, which is called Malchus, the kingdom, that is connected with the concept of speech. And this is the way we are connected with something which is outside of us. The speech connects us to something else. You don't need speech for yourself. You need it for something else, for something that is outside of you. So he says, "Ve'koach hadibur shebenafshay dugma ladibur elyon anikra v'shem malchus v'shchina." The faculty of speech in one's soul is analogous to the supernal speech, which is known as the sphere of malchus or the shchina. Shechina, we usually refer to Hashem as the Shechina. Shechina means that it dwells. So because this is referring to Hashem, the way He dwells in us, in the lower worlds. So being that every attribute that is in the human being is connected with the attributes that is in above, in the higher worlds, it triggers and arouses those attributes that is connected with. And therefore, the speech, when you speak, you call the speech of above. You arouse and you trigger the higher speech, which is God's dwelling in us. V'lachein, and therefore, כשמדבר דברי תורה, מעורר דיבור העליון ליחד השכינה. He says, therefore, a Jew's speech is analogous to the supernal speech, the Shechina. When speaking words of Torah, one arouses the supernal speech, the sphere of Malchus, thereby unifying the Shechina, meaning linking it to the preceding stages of emanation. Meaning, this is called the Kutsha Brichu Shchinte. That's what we say always. L'shem yichud kutsha brichu shchinte. Every mitzvah is about connecting and unifying the kutsha brichu, הקודש Baruch Hu, the higher levels, and the Shechina, which is the level of Hashem, the way He comes down to us. And therefore, it is established, B'kriya Shma u'birkas hamazon v'divrei Torah. When we have the mitzvah of saying the Shema, mitzvah of saying the Birkat Hamazon, the blessing after the meal, and also when you speak words of Torah, Lo yatsa behiro b'lo dibur. That a person, one is not discharged of his duties by meditation without speech. That's when you go to a yeshiva, you go to a synagogue. It's not like in a public Brooklyn Public Library where people read read a book and they need quiet, nobody's talking. You go to yeshiva, they study Torah, it looks like a war zone. Everybody's screaming, saying, talking, arguing. Because when you speak the words, besides the fact that also helps, speech helps a person to bring out his own emotions, to bring out, when you say to a person, I love you, it brings out that love. It enhances this love. And the same thing is the other way. When you say something negative, it also brings out the anger. If you're upset about a person, and you're going to start talking about those things, the more you talk about it, the more the anger comes out. So that is one thing what the speech does. It brings out the inner self, the inner emotions, and brings it out. The same thing when you study and you verbalize it, you're able to understand it better. But besides that, here the Alter Rebbe teaches us that this is something much, much deeper. That when you verbalize the words of Torah and the words of prayer, Birkas Hamazon, you actually cause Hashem, God, to also use His speech, which is the Shechina dwelling in us and in this world. And tomorrow the Alter Rebbe is going to continue to say how this is also something which, even in the lowest places, it comes, and thereby ultimately explaining what the Baal Shem Tov meant with this, that Hashem is even in the person, the guy that tries to interrupt your connection, your prayers. There also Hashem is there. And therefore, we just need to take the challenge. Whenever there is a challenge, we have to take it in a way to make us only stronger, to make us only better, to be able to realize that whatever happens is from Hashem. It's only there in order for us to be able to become stronger and overcome those challenges. So this is the end of today's share. Thank you so much for joining. Any questions? We can take questions now.